told you? Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? You what? God design, God design.
What's going on? What's happening, everybody? Thanks for joining. Welcome to the Boerboel Show. I'm your host, Jordan Pittman. Here we promote the Boerboel breed, athleticism, musculature, responsible breeding, and responsible ownership. How's everybody doing today? We covering a whole lot of ground today as usual. Hope everybody's excited. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. What's going on with my people? How's everybody, my board buddies? What's going on with y'all today? We got a real exciting episode. I want to share with y'all some very important information that I've been researching and I've been uncovering. It relates to the Boerboel breed specifically. It has a lot to do with why we love our dogs. You remember that this breed is so, what's going on? Oh, before I even get started into the lesson, let me share with y'all what I got. So a super duper dog, y'all. I got a super duper dog I want to share with y'all. We gonna have puppies. I gotta figure that out. Maybe I can do that a little bit later on or this afternoon. I got a folder I can share with you too. Don't forget to leave me or send me a text message or something with your email address. But before we get to the puppies, let me show y'all what I got in store for y'all. I got something super duper exciting. One of the best dogs that we got out right now. We are always excited to share, but I'm happy to share with y'all. He coming of age. His name is Exotics Mako. If you haven't seen him already, you need to get hip. Let me show you all a little clip. What this dog is all made of. He's a son of Exotics Outlaw and Majesty. And this dude is very in his, James is his owner. He's dedicated, extremely dedicated. Let me give y'all an example of what this dog is up to. I mean, he's got everything that you wish for in the Boerboel. Big, strong, and athleticism. Where the dog can move. Watch. Let me show y'all this. Check this out.
All right, good boy. Good. Chip.
He's just running around in the yard a little bit, playing around. But we showed him. I really like how he's buoyant in his movement, super light on his feet, 100-something, 60-something pounds plus. I think he was 168 around that, which is typical. He got a sister that just checked in at the vet today, 168-pound female. And we don't say that to really highlight that the size is abundantly oversized, or not that they makes them any more valuable than a smaller size Boerboel. But we would like to highlight the fact that he's athletic. He's moving around with ease. He's super light on his feet, great muscling. You can see the abundance of health, and it's clearly apparent that the dog is well cared for. So big shout out to James. We want to definitely salute you on your mission is going well. Got a couple other dogs I'm going to share with y'all. It don't stop there. I told y'all I was going to share y'all with the puppies. Y'all send the puppies in, and I'm going to put them together. I'm going to put them up. It took me a little bit of time. We had a rough week, but anywho, check Check these magnificent Boerboels out. Yeah, so something light, not too heavy. Shout out to everybody that sent their dogs in. Shango, Yamaya, Yona, Tiny, and your owners. You know who you are. You look, dogs looking magnificent. We're really proud of y'all, what y'all doing with the dogs. And that's a great example of responsible dog ownership. And that's part of what we're here to promote. So that means one of the for sure, family. I really appreciate y'all taking great care of the dogs and the puppies that we have and providing super duper homes for them and giving them nothing but the best, because it's highly reflective in the dogs. And we appreciate that. That gives them an opportunity to reach their fullest potential. And that's what it's all about. A great relationship between the dog and the owner. And that's what makes the Boerboel a beautiful breed, because you have this intense bond and they really want to please. So that makes a lot of sense. And I'm just the way that it's working out, because that's what we aim to produce. And then we see in the dogs and homes, they happy. The dogs is happy. Their families is happy. We loving it, y'all. Appreciate y'all for what y'all doing. We can't do this without y'all. That's what it's all about for us. You know, we if we could keep 100 dogs and be fair to them, I don't think it's no way impossible that you could keep that many dogs. Well, I guess if we had a staff of 1 million, if we had a staff, I don't know how many. If we could keep that many dogs, we would. But if some kind of way to be fair. But thank goodness for y'all, because we provide homes for them and they treat it with respect. To y'all, we shared those dogs, updates, what we got going on with the puppies. It was a rough week, y'all. That 12 pack, let me tell y'all, we some real sad news. We lost the 12 piece with Suki, and we lost the mom via we went through the C-section, and today, this morning, Suki didn't make it through the night. It was a really horrible, really horrible, really the worst I've ever seen with a dog. Never seen nothing like this. And I don't know. I don't want to blame anyone. I feel like I don't know what happened, but it's just a horrible situation. Very unfortunate that we lost all those pups, and the mom especially feel really bad. Everybody involved. So yeah, it was a rough situation. But you go through that. You hear people talking about the rough patches and what you go through being a breeder. That was one of the things we remember. The dog was an imported dog from South Africa with direct import from South Africa. Highly researched, great anticipations for the dog. Spent 2 years feeding the dog, investing in the dog, caring for the dog, spending time with the dog, progesterone testing. I mean, just over 10, 20, ain't no telling how many thousands of dollars invested in this dog, and time and money. And then we get there to do everything right in our power for the dog to have the puppies and be healthy. And then despite our efforts, we still end up losing the mom and all the puppies. Went to the vet for the C-section. All the puppies was born healthy. We lost one. It was 13 total. We lost one. And then we end up with 12 puppies. Look like they doing good. We got our hands on them, got them home, got our eyes on them. Never really did gain weight. You end up, then they start failing one at a time. Real sad situation. Despite our best efforts, we did everything in our power with the puppies, and you still gonna lose some. But you got to gain some acceptance real quick. And It's rough situation when you're doing this with the dogs, but you got to gain some acceptance real quick. You can't be sad about it too long because you got all of these other mouths to feed. You got all of these other responsibilities, and I guess that's probably one of the reasons that dog breeders get burnt out and end up never completing their journeys. They end up being a life work and they pass on to the next generation and people pick up where they left off because it is exhausting. It is exhausting. And but it's cool though. You got to really love it. You just got to keep it pushing. It was really, really horrible situation though. The dog, she didn't produce the milk, or either she was producing milk. And from my observation, I was concerned from the very beginning, but they always seem to feel comfortable at the vet when we did the C-section. I always feel like, well, these puppies is not as big and thick as I'm accustomed to. They was long, big puppies, but I'm tending used to seeing very full pups, really well developed. My first time breeding with the dog that targets bloodline, so maybe it's something different there. But no immediate cause for alarm. Puppies nursing, but they don't seem to just be filling out. Around the third or fourth day, we noticed that they was extremely dehydrated, and the strong cries went to weakened whelps, and it was just a tragic situation. It's something that you go through with these dogs. But you got to gain some acceptance real quick and keep it pushing on to the next thing. Don't waste too much time crying about what's beyond your control, and you just try to keep yourself together, keep yourself composed, and keep it pushing. The grind doesn't stop, as my daughter says. So yeah, that was a real tragedy though. It was a rough week, rough day today. But I got something prepared for you all. Very important information that I would like to share. Very important information based off of my research, based off of my recent conclusions. Everything that I can has led me to believe that we in good shape with the South African Boerboel breed. And we need to continue to keep doing the way things. Well, let me explain. First of all, when we talk about this dilemma that we're facing with purebred dogs, we start talking about how, let's go back to the history of dogs. Dogs been with man for literally ages, thousands of years alongside us, and we've been selecting the dogs based off of what the role that they play in our lives. But in the last 200 years or so, with the evolution and the modernization of the world and the industrialization, things have taken a drastic change. We don't live the way that we once were, like hunters and gatherers, where dogs are an essential part of life. So we don't have the same purpose. The dogs don't feel the same purpose, but we have learned that they are great companions, and that's where we triumph the dog as our man's best friend. And we are really in great shape with the South African Boerboel, but a lot of other purebred dogs are doomed. Well, let's say it is cause for concern even with the South African Boerboel, because one very important thing that we always must realize, that traditionally the breed was selected based off of fulfilling a need. The purpose of the South African Boerboel was to aid the farmer alongside him during his days, protecting at night. And then, they had an early history where they was used for war, protecting from the stolen goods and the stolen land that the people were conquering and taking at that time. And then fast forward to where the more modern times, they were more farm dogs used to protect against livestock, protect livestock against dangerous predators and whatnot, and people that may be trying to claim the land back. So as their need, so the Boerboel has been derived and developed with extreme purpose. And fast forward to the modern, so you got this extremely wide, large gene pool of dogs to select from, because this is like essential for the farmers in South Africa. It's just like sheep or cattle or grain, or it's just as much as a part of the farm as um, cattle or horses. The dog is. So the South African Boerboel, we decide around 1980s to establish the breed as a purebred dog, traditional purebred dog, and they selected from this extremely large gene pool, and then they narrowed it down to 80 select dogs that they felt fitted in this visual criteria, and then those dogs were used for breeding and to establish a more distinct variety, of a more standardized variety that fit into this mold, this visual mold that they deemed to be appealing, to define the breed, the visual definition of a South African Boerboel. That's merely what this was. None other than that. Nothing other than that. So we have this great variation of types because of the different, farms or purposes that these dogs are serving. And from those types, from the original 80 dogs, you have some that become desired. We see that they produce the type of dog that fits into this criteria more so than others. So you may say, we really, the head structure, the musculine is very impressive. So we're going to go towards that direction with this dog. And we're going to use, let's call this dog King Kong. We're going to run with King Kong, and we're going to use King Kong. And he's for 1985. Everybody look at King Kong. King Kong is the model example. And we got maybe 3 or 4 other dogs that we feel like fit into our tradition, our ideal mold. And we're going to use those dogs in more, or breed more towards those varieties. So from that 80 original gene pool or whatever, you have certain genetics start to die down, or they have the numbers and the types and the varieties that they offer into the gene pool. Their gene pool starts to dwindle, or their numbers of their contributions, the number of dogs that they contribute to the entire breed gene pool, those dogs start to vanish. So some of those genes going to die off, because we have what's known as the founder's effect. So we start to breed towards more of the dogs that we fit are more visually appealing or fit into this criteria. So the problem with that is you start to have all of the dogs carrying this very limited genes, this limited set of genes, right? So essentially what you're doing is creating bloodlines. And this is the traditional, for the last 200 years of standardized and purebred dog breeding, the mindset that they have. So we kind of did away with, what happened was we did away with the traditional methods that we were breeding, or the proven, the time-tested methods that we were using for breeding or selecting our breeding stock and criteria for breeding stock. And then we went with more modern style, where we was using the standardized method based off of a visual appeal. And then from that situation, you have a limited gene pool, but you start to lock in a certain look, and you start to breed towards, you say, well, I would like to breed more towards the chest, or the bigger muscling, or the bigger heads, or the bigger necks, or the stronger, whatever you have your desires are that you feel like the market demands, and you start to breed towards the market demands, because you're trying to produce a product versus have a dog that serves a purpose and fits a function. And when you start to breed towards this visual appeal, you don't necessarily consider, or you start, well, let's say traditional dog breeding, the idea is to use dogs and lock in a certain look. So you're going to go with like a what they call in genetics like a homozygous look, where it's uniform and it reduces itself consistently. So you take, litter of puppies, all of the puppies pretty much look consistent. They have the same features, strong inheritance from one generation to the next of these family characteristics or traits, these bloodline characteristics or traits. And then what happens is we start to establish these strong bloodlines or these really pure strains that breed true to type, and they pass down from from the next generation to the next. And how that's done traditionally through this school of thought of is with line breedings or ancestral matings, where you breed dogs within the same families, and that's how you get all golden retrievers have the same look, all Rottweilers pretty much have the same look, and with mild variations. That's because the gene pool has only those sets to select from, those sets of characteristics to select from. When you breed those two dogs together, you only get Rottweiler and Rottweiler genes. They're going to carry in their briefcases of genetics. They're going to carry like black and tan markings, certain temperament markings, and all of these genes come in groups. It's like you can't just pass down one finger off of a hand. They come in clusters. So that's very important to understand, because people tend to think that you can use line breeding, or you can make small corrections. And let's say for example, pasturings. People feel like you can, let's say you try to correct pasturings by breeding a dog with straight pasturings to narrow pasturings, but you still continue to breed the dog because it have all of these. It has the chest, the head, the muscle, and the temperament, the drive, and all of these other things that you desire, but you're going to try to get away from the pasturings where the feet go east and left. That's a applicable example to our program. Well, that may not be exactly or possible, depending on how strong or closely related the dogs are from the gene pool that we have to select from. That makes sense. It might be hard to follow, but just kind of think of it as your neighborhood, and then we only breed, or we only produce offspring with people that is on our street. And we don't think about how over time eventually everybody on the street is going to be related to each other, and then that becomes problematic, because if we start to have genetic inherited diseases and defects, we don't have any of a gene pool, and we try to breed to let's say to a healthier party that's within that same gene pool, you still can't get away from it, because there are groups of genes that are passed down from one to another. And then you're eliminating the possibility of having healthy stock or alternative stock to breed from. There is no diversity there. All of the people or the community is all related. And that's essentially what's happening with purebred dogs. And that's why we see a preponderance or every single purebred dog breed, every single purebred family, or let's just say related family of dogs that have been ancestrally mated over periods of time, are going to have certain genetic defects and inherited defects associated with them. Now, how do we get away from that, and what do we have to do for the future, and why has the Boerboel been able to remain one of the most healthiest breeds? Although in certain cases that we are having some issues with the genetic, we are having certain issues with the genetics some particular lines. We're starting to see more and more, even with the South African Boerboels, people are starting to report more and more problems within the breed. So what we want to do, how do we avoid this, and what have been done in the future that makes the African Boerboels different, is their method of selection. Their method of selection. We have to remember the criteria that the dogs were selected against. So remember certain things. That's why I feel like it's pivotal and a very important part of my program. While we've been able to breed beyond some of the certain breeders that started around the time that we did, because we used this method of selection for our criteria, where we had testing the dogs physically and for functionally through this method of exercise and athleticism. The dog had to be proven that it's capable of doing certain tasks, accomplish certain tasks, which we're going to implement and make that breed wide tested for our breed. And you don't have to necessarily do that but when you do, we're going to give you a higher value based off of what your dog is able to perform. And that's what our rating system is based off of. How we rate dogs is based off of what they're able to accomplish on a day-to-day. Remember, this breed is a utility breed, so they should be able to perform for extensive periods of time or over a certain amount of distance. We got to remember that we're talking about plantations in South Africa. The dog should be fit and capable. We're talking about a four-legged animal here. We ain't talking about a two-legged human. He should be able to cover 10, 12 miles in a day, no problem. And if we continue to go for extreme looks, we're going to lose out. But here's the key. Here's what's going to save the day with the South African Boerboels. The founders, the forefathers in the breed, they're not scared, or they do what they want to do despite traditional mindsets. You got a few of the breeders that go by the old school methods, and then based off the genetic test, we were able to determine that they still are adding other dog breeds within. And you see it in some of the looks. You wonder, that's got to have something else crossed in. And I feel like it's important that we have those dogs included, and because they clearly are Boerboels, and they fit the description despite having minor differences. I feel like that's important. It's a part of hybrid vigor and what keeps our dogs remaining healthy. If you notice in our breed tradition, the trending is we have a certain style that become over here in America, and that is a direction that we breed. And then they come out with a new style in South Africa, and then we tend to start importing those dogs when they're selling off certain stock. Sometimes it could be really disappointing. That dog Suki was really supposed to be a superior breeding stock, and you really would assume that somebody would be sending you over to better dogs. But I have to be honest and question, is that part of the reason that she got here? Why did they part with her? Clearly, she had a litter of puppies prior to her arrival, and the way that she was bred kind of make you question, did you know something was wrong with the dog before you sold it? Was you selling a lemon or getting rid of? I hope not. I don't want to even consider that as a possibility, because it's just hard to let go. So that's why I really try to move on. But so that's really and the only way to avoid locking yourself out and having no alternative gene pool to select from is by having an open registry and an open stud book. And we see that's the case with SABS, SABBS. They still allow dogs from foreign registries and unknown lineage as long as they fit a certain percentage of criteria upon a visual inspection. They still going to accept those dogs in for registration, despite the fact that they have unknown lineage. And that's very important for the maintenance and the management of this genetic gene pool. And I think that's part of the reason why our dogs have been able to remain relatively healthy in many cases. and still be a large, impressive mastiffs. Whereas a lot of these athletic mastiffs, musculature mastiffs that don't suffer from many of the shortened lifespan, high mortality rates, but African Boerboels are relatively healthy. It's hard to say that. It's hard to say that with a complete knowing that I just lost this dog and the puppies. But in most cases, in many cases, that does not happen. So at this point, I think I'm gonna take some questions and some comments. If anybody got some comments, some concerns, we could address those at this time. Somebody had asked about the puppies. Please don't forget to send your email. Somebody asked about the puppies. Our puppies information is on our website. The show is really not about selling puppies. It's really about the information. Appreciate the but yeah, it's a ton of puppies on our website. Information about the puppies on our website. But we would like to inspire and motivate the community to own the dogs, treat them with the respect that they deserve, treat them the way that a Boerboel should be treated. With they're very noble and powerful dogs. Hey, Miss Pauls, what's going on? Yeah, it was rough. We lost the dog, the mama, lost it all. So, but I forgot where I was at. And see, that's why I'm not. Yeah, but we were talking about the show. Everything we're doing is about uplifting positivity, motivation, and inspiring the next generation of Boerboel enthusiasts. Our breed is very good looking family for sure, for sure. We're gonna definitely, yeah, we lost a mama too. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you, James. Everybody for coming out, hanging out with me. It's something that y'all would like to know, something that y'all want to cover. Let's get into it. You can post the questions right now while we live, straight off the Oh yeah, thanks for love. Thanks for that, love. Yep, it's rough, Miss Pauls. 7 years old. Let's see it. You got any pictures? Send them in right now. If anybody want to send their pictures to my email, I got that email opened up live. We can post the pictures. Y'all gotta forgive me. It's been a rough for me. I've been a little bit sleepy, but I'm here though. As promised. 7 o'clock on Thursdays. If y'all like what you see, don't want to miss out, hit the subscribe button. Tap the notifications now if you haven't already. If there's nobody have any questions when it comes to exercise, what should be the daily goal? Good question. When it comes to exercising, what should be the daily goals? Very good question. Very good question. When it comes to exercise, you have to start off slow with the Boerboels, and you want to keep a close eye on your dog's intensity levels. So as you begin to exercise, or remember when the dog is first released from, I don't, depending on how you keep your dog confined or its place of being, wherever, when you're getting ready to, or let's say you're waking up first thing in the morning, the dog's excited, he's ready to go outside, y'all gonna get to y'all routine. You want to keep a level, idea on the dog's level of intensity. So that's why I say it's important to measure. You're we're gonna start at 8 o'clock, and then I noticed that around 8:10 or 8:15, because I'm gonna jump on the bike and then we're gonna go to pedaling, and he gonna run and he gonna be trying to keep up. What we doing? Where we going? What we doing? Where we going? And I'm taking off running, and this where we headed, and I noticed that he all excited. And I like to use about 45 minutes as a on average. Now, here's the key though. You have to give the dog 4 to 24 hours to recover, depending on how big, how used to the exercise that he is. You really got to pay attention to your dog. So you're going to give your dog the nutrition. This is a key to aid in the recovery. If you plan on using the dog again, and stretch, massage, and supplement, you want to make sure that you give the dog his nutritional, high quality nutrition, high quality organs, high quality nutrients, and you're going to give it in 20 to minutes after the workout, 20 minutes to an hour per post workout. So, yeah, Ms. Paul say yes. It should also be raw meat and bones to help with the teeth and plaque buildup. Right. So once the dog, and then don't forget to massage down. That's what I thought I saw something about, said massage and rub down. So this is good. This is going to immediately, stretch, massage. This is important. After your exercise, your daily exercise, massage, stretch, rub down. And you may also, they got some, look into like maybe some green alcohol or something to help the dog's muscles recovery, stimulate the blood flow and exchange. And from all of that, you're gonna watch your dog the next day. Remember it visually noted the energy level from when you first began, the yesterday, post exercise. We're gonna look at our dog's energy level. When I was conditioning dog or a pearl, I noticed the second day post exercise, they would always be extremely sluggish and tired. I figure it's best for them just to rest and recover. So them two dogs particular as an example when they first starting out. Now, as they get more into exercise and the routine, it's going to take about, I don't like to condition a dog no more than 12 weeks in a row. And I like to use the dog in the beginning. We probably might go once or twice a week, and then, or twice a week minimum. And we're going to work our way as the dog start to get used to more condition to the exercise. We're going to work our way towards more intervals. So then we have more frequent workouts. We'll start to work the dogs out from two times a week, where they need 2 days to rest and recover in between. We'll start to go to 3 days a week where they get 1 day. And then eventually you'll start to go to 2 days, to every single day. That's what would be ideal when you get to like week 12. But it's important not to overdo it. Remember that the dog is big. You want to wait till their appropriate age before you go into something intense like a 12-week program. I suggest for the day-to-day, if post-exercise, and I'm talking about extreme conditioning, post-exercise, you want to, we're not talking about your daily walk, 45 minutes. I'm talking about intense, fast-paced trot to mid-paced trot, or even an all-out gallop for small periods of time with all-out sprints. Let them know, Miss Pauls, hit the like button if you have not already, if you're liking what you're hearing. But depending on the frequency and the exercise, the amount that you're doing, the intensity of the exercise, you're going to maybe give them a few occasions where they sprint. That's when we're talking, that's what we're referring to. And we're talking about back-to-back exercise. We're not talking about exercise where we walk and then they rest and recover, take their time. I'm talking about 45 minutes intense straight exercise, no matter the pace. And you're going to vary the pace depending on your dog's fitness level. And it's important to monitor your dog and observe your dog and be familiar with your dog. And that's why we encourage you to have not too many dogs either. So you can really get to know your pack, really get to know your situation, really get to know your dog on a day-to-day. Examine your dog, how he move, because remember that they cannot talk. And you have to be their eyes. You have to be able to observe their body language and be able to kind of get a feel for what's going on with them. And so with that being said, day-to-day exercise, you have to monitor, you have to watch your dog depending on his level of fitness and conditioning. I don't think that a dog should just go straight off the couch or straight off from just chilling just being a regular dog into intense exercise without some kind of conditioning. So we have some more questions. Let me get back to the next question. Then we talking about so yeah, that was reflecting the daily goals. So the daily goals should just be enough to tire the dog out, enough to keep the dog managed well, where he's not extensively and exhausted. Well, I'm talking about you don't want him to be extremely exhausted, but you don't want him to be where he cannot move. I'm talking about just laying under the table all day, laying under the bed 2-3 days sleeping. It's nothing wrong with that either, but you want to keep, if you're going to do daily exercise, you want to keep it moderate. You want to keep it fair to the dog. Rest is important to recovery. So with that being said, let's move on to the next question. What can I weight train and how to begin the process? So I recommend with the weight training, you start off with a dog. You could even just throw the harness on the puppy, and just to get them used to feel familiar with having something on their back and carrying something. And you can start with the little basic harness. It don't have to be no extensive weight pull or special harness, and you could do that at any age. From that, the dog would be used to something dragging. You're gonna make it a fun activity. You're gonna make it something that where there's a lot of praise involved. When the dog is showing signs of confidence and courage, when the dog is showing signs that he's comfortable. To get started with the weight pull, you're gonna just start by throwing the harness over the dog's back, and then just letting them drag the harness, maybe with a chain or some cans attached, so he's familiar with the noise behind them and he gets comfortable with that. And you want to kind of, if you plan on doing that, you know that this is an activity that you want your dog to participate in. I would just suggest doing that with a little maybe $25 to $50 harness from PetSmart. Later on, you want to get an advanced weight pull harness when your dog reaches maturity around 12 to 18 months. And then you want to size the dog around the neck and the shoulders. And then you had to order that dog harness custom. You had to look, and I use Harnesses by Kara. She's been supplying on our harnesses, our weight pull design for years, and she's got a measurement chart on there, and they designed the dog custom to your dog's measurements exclusively for your dog. But there's many others out there. That's just one, and I'll also put a link for that in the description on the video. Harnesses by Carol on Facebook. If you just Google that though, HARNESS by Carol, CAROLE on Facebook, you can find that. That's for the adult harness, and then you're gonna start off slow. I highly recommend. My method is 10 yards or 10 yards, and then we're gonna offer extreme praise, excitement. Once the dog pulls that weight past 10, and then we're going to count the intervals. So you do it like you do weight training. If you're not familiar, never have weight training for sports or activities, you do that in reps. You count the reps, and then you also count sets. So reps are like 1 to 10. You're going to do a number of increments, 1 to 10, and then sets would be how many repetitions of 1 to 10. So you do 2, 1 to 10, and then you do sets. And I would apply that same practice to my dogs and they weight pulling. What we would do is we would go clean bowls daily. That's right. What we would do, we would go 10 yards or so, 10 to 30 yards, depending on how much weight and what the type of conditioning. Remember that the heavier weights, that's what caused the dog to pack on heavier weight. He's not going to be able to do that. You got to be careful from the dog. You don't want to really stress the dog out too much and have him stressing to where he can cause an injury with the heavier weights. So what you do is you start off lighter, and then if you want to try to intensify the exercise, you can go heavy, longer distances or longer, more increase the amount of reps. So you'll increase the amount of reps. You'll do that maybe 3 times. And then you're going to keep monitor the dog. So eventually his tongue is going to start hanging out. And it's going to go from hanging out a little bit to like, so he'll start panting, and then it might be hanging out just a little bit. And then he's going to start hanging out a whole lot, where then it's going to go to a extreme. Monitor the dog from when he starts heavily salivating and making sure that he's not overheating. Overheating is the very dangerous risk when you exercise in the Mastiff dogs, especially, or dogs that's not conditioning. This didn't happen to me before. It happened to the best of us. It's, extreme conditioning in the heat. It's dangerous, very dangerous. I recommend always waiting around in the evening, in the cooler parts of the day, early morning for your exercise, or late at night. And then I would go in the wintertime. Spring is ideal. Fall is ideal. Watch yourself. Watch it in the summer. Spring is cool too, depending on your geographical locations. With that being said, you're going to do so many reps. You're going to try to get the dog exhausted. You're going to, when the dog gets exhausted, you're going to let him know that you're very proud and he did a great job. That's a good boy. Offer extreme amount of praise. Be really excited. Rub the dog down. Let him know that you love him and care for him. Don't take nothing more than 5 minutes. You should be able to get a good workout done with a dog for 15, 20 to 30 minutes. You get done with the dog, with the exercise, get busy in there, rubbing them down, massaging them and encouraging them. And I would just talk to them and let them know how much I love them, how much they made me proud, how much they did a good job. And, that's why you have to be conscious of the praise that you offer, because you don't want to cheapen it by offering praise all the time. You want to make the praise conditional based off of the work. So that's a part of, remember, one thing with healthy management with these Boerboels is they need tasks. This dog have to have a purpose. And they, in a situation where they don't, they need something to occupy their mind. They thinking, they decision making, they observing, they start to get bored with the same. They need stimulus. So if you have this way of relationing, or do you have this way to communicate with your dog, and you're saying like, look, okay, you challenging their mind. The dog is always trying to figure out, what can I do to please you? What can I do to help? And then you're going to be saying, well, look, this is what I expect for you to do. Be well behaved. I got my dog sitting right here under the table. Every now and then I go ahead and let her know that, look, you're doing a great job. I'm happy, but I don't want to overdo it and make her think that it's my job to rub her all the time, or rub her on when she feel like that I need to be rubbed, or just demand my attention. You know what I'm saying? It's about, you have a role to play throughout the day. You have a role to play. So I'm gonna call you in to do so. And then that you follow those commands, you do it, make that happy. And then I'm gonna give you what you want, which is to shower you with affection and attention. But it's all measured. It's not just free, giving freely, because you want respect, and you don't want to cheapen. You don't want to cheapen the value of the rubs. So just think about supply and demand. The scarcity causes demand. So let's get on to a couple questions. Clean the bowls daily. That's important. Check out Miss Paul's dropping all the science. Clean the bowls daily. Don't leave bacteria in the form of proper hand. That's very important, especially when you're talking about puppies. You don't want the puppies picking up foreign bacteria. And if you're feeding the dogs outside, birds could be pooping in the stool or picking up leftovers. You don't want that to be part of your dog's diet. Thanks for always, Miss Pauls, for the support. Who else to say? Let's see what else we got here. Miss Pauls. Okay. Stretch massage. We covered that. Knowing if raw food has bacteria if not cooked. Yeah, be careful with cooking your raw foods. It changes the molecular structure of the bone. And I saw recently where a dog had to have his stomach operated on, chewing down some smoked femur bones. And it was surprising and shocking, but it's something that could happen. And it does happen depending on how fast the dog are chewing the bones down, how fast they swallow it. No need to boil. No, not at all. Yeah. Okay. Okay, y'all. With that being said, I appreciate everyone tuning in to the Boerboel Show. If y'all want more of this action, don't forget to subscribe. Once again, I don't want to keep pressing the issue. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to, only if you want to. If you like what we got going on, if you want to know some more. And if you got questions. So I'm going to leave y'all with this bit of advice. Because a lot of people very important. I'm gonna close out with this last thing for the people that's looking for extreme protection dogs. I want to say this. I want to say that a Boerboel is a great dog for protection. They're a great dog for defending yourself, defending your loved ones, defending things that that you feel or have a value. They're great dogs for that. But no dog is bulletproof. And if it's security, if you're very concerned about you have immediate security protection concerns, a puppy is not going to address that. A Boerboel puppy is not going to address immediate security and family protection concerns. Like if you got you got people breaking in to your house immediately, and you can't rely on a young puppy to protect your loved ones, protect your values. And it's not fair for you to have expectation. Remember, in a lot of cases, the Boerboel is going to mature slow, and it takes them. It could be over time. It could be it could be years. It could be years. What's up, family? Did you see Tiny? I had him on there. So, if you got people that's after you, if you got people that for whatever you into, whatever you got going on in your life, and you're looking for the dog to save your life, that's not a fair expectation for any dog, really. If you think that a dog will address your immediate concerns, remember that Boerboels mature slowly, and don't expect the dog to come out, all of them to come out with a whole lot of drive. It's just not that kind of breed. More force in the very beginning. More so in the with the African Boerboels, you got to remember that they mature slow. So you're gonna start to see them express a lot of more their defensive nature in many cases around maturity, around 12 to 16, 18 months. If you need an immediate, if you're looking for a dog to start serving, look like 6 to 9 months, showing protective instincts, showing workability, or showing drive, a stronger bet is going to be more traditional working guard dogs, police dogs, Malinois, Shepherd, Dutch Shepherd, those breeds that are designed for that type of work. This is different. It's a utility breed, and they're not solely defending against man. It's also capable of dealing with extreme threats of the animal variety. So with that being said, and if it's that serious, we all gotta go one day. That's inevitable. Don't forget that. You don't have to be afraid. You can get in. They have insurance. Yeah. That's just my thoughts on it, because it just ain't fair to put that kind of expectation on the dog to ask. It's not going to save time. It's a backup. It's a first line of defense. You know, it's something that it's an obstacle that a criminal have to overcome. That somebody may mean you harm, and but they are not invincible, and it ain't fair for people to think that. It's not. I just don't want to dispel that illusion. I don't want nobody to think that we selling something a be all end all personal security solution. And they do have that capacity, but it's something that is developed over time. It's going to have to take intense training, consistent training, understanding of dog behavior, and you're going to have that bond and observation. You're going to have that type of relationship with your dog. So I had a great time with y'all today. I hope y'all like that. If anybody got any more questions, we'll take them now. And if not, tune in next week. We're gonna be doing intense studying and research, making army y'all share this information exchange. I can't think of anything else that I would. I think we pretty much covered a lot of bases. There's always stuff I'll be thinking about when I get off. I'm like, hang on, that's what I meant to say. I gotta start writing more stuff down. But this straight off the top of my head, y'all. Free flow, whole lot of reading, whole lot of research, but it's real information. It's real. Yes, sir. He was on there earlier. You got to check him out. In the very beginning, I put all the 4 pictures that you sent to me. Send me some more, man. Send me some video. And I also put his brother up on there, Mako. And Tiny, I put his age on there because you might think that he's a grown-up dog. Yeah. You might think that he's a grown-up dog, but he actually only 9 months old. And we always talk about his other brother, Shaka. It's the other brother. Full brother to Tiny. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. Hit me up, y'all, if y'all got questions. Wishing y'all the best, everybody. Stay up, keep it positive. Don't forget, don't get caught up chasing small things. Remember, is focus on your big dreams, the big picture. That being said, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. I'm gonna catch up with y'all next week. Gonna be posting hella videos. More information about the puppies, they on my website. We're gonna be posting hella video. We're gonna be posting a amount of videos. And as always, treat yourself and treat others as you will hope to treat somebody to treat yourself. All right, y'all. Next week. Peace.
No rush, go and move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and gloves. Now you got a deal run up. No rush, go and move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and now you got a deal run up. Whole gang, whole man, old school, young jam.